We might often complain about the pains of sequelitis, but here at GamesRadar, we still get giddy at the prospect of spin-offs where our favourite second bananas get some time in the limelight. And sorry if that sounded like we made a metaphor fruit salad. Here are 9 sidekicks who deserve their own games. First up is Zelda. Now it says a lot that when we say Zelda, you probably think Link. No, not Link, Zelda. As big a deal as Zelda is in the series, and as skilled a fighter as she's implied to be, we're yet to get a game with her at the helm. Ultimately, a title where she is the undisputed protagonist and doesn't get kidnapped is the only way to do this Nintendo leading lady justice. Seriously, no kidnapping.
Dr. Freeman, I presume.
Half-Life is defined by the silence of scientist-turned-saviour Gordon Freeman, but when Half-Life 2 introduced gamers to Alex Vance, they fell in love. Alex is a rarity in games because she's actually multifaceted, at times strong and determined, at others scared and unsure of herself. Were Valve to make a game starring Alex, it could finally break out of its silent protagonist mould. In fact, let's go monkey in a bucket mad and demand they make her the star of Half-Life 3. Once players got over the shock, they might ultimately appreciate a hero who can speak for herself.
Oh, and by the way, nice to finally meet you.
Do a barrel roll!
Unlike most of the characters on this list, Falco has been trying to grab the spotlight since he first appeared. Falco is a hotshot pilot who isn't content in a supporting role. We think it's time for Lombardi to have his own wingman, a bit like Maverick in Top Gun, except that he's a Falcon. Let Fox have his tanks and his submarines, while Falco's spin-off can focus entirely on classically styled air combat, with Lombardi leading a whole team of new pilots. Star Fox traditionalists would get the game they've been waiting for, and Falco could finally barrel roll into a position of mascot supremacy.
Are you gonna listen to that monkey?
Gamers all over the world are clamouring for the return of MEGAMAN, and while we also miss the Blue Bomber, his sister has been relegated to the warming bench for far too long. Let's have a game which bucks those domestic stereotypes, drops the jokes about cleaning and cooking, and makes her at least as tough as her brother. We see the story opening with Dr. Wily finally succeeding in defeating MEGAMAN, nearly destroying the droid and leaving him at death's door. There seems to be no hope until Roll nominates herself for an upgrade. Cue Light reluctantly weaponizing her, badass intro sequence, and newfound, long-deserved respect. Although she turns into a bit of a damsel in Bayonetta 2, Jean is every bit as badass as her bestie. That's a lot of B's, and she takes care of herself just fine for the 500 years before the Bayonetta we know starts kicking around. What exactly was she up to all this time? Undoubtedly something insane involving interpretive dance and explosions. And if you don't want to play that, then your game gland has ruptured and you should seek medical help immediately.
Interjection.
The appeal of HK-47 is a simple one. There's no problem which can't be solved by murdering people with lasers. Conjecture. Why not make meatbags everywhere happy and give him his own game? The market for action games starring assassins is booming right now, so a Hitman-style game starring HK-47 is like a blank check. A blank check that lasers people and looks a little bit like an evil trash can. Certainly a Boba Fett game would work in the same way, but that would deprive us of HK's hilarious disgust for the ripple of quivering flesh that we call humanity.
I am fully upgraded to exterminator standards. I am a paragon of brutal efficiency.
The supporting players in Chrono Trigger are so well realised and defined that almost any of them could support their own spin-off. But Frog is our fave because he's a noble, stoic knight and also a frog. Let's forget the official ending of Chrono Trigger. Let's have a side game that keeps him in his amphibian form. And while we're asking for the moon on a stick, why not give him his own sidekicks, who just might be cool enough to get their own sequel in 2028. Maybe, you know, like a frog who's been turned into a human. Let's move on.
I'm guessing you're Talbot?
Mr. Sullivan and Mr. Drake.
Nathan Drake learned everything he knows from Victor "Sully" Sullivan. An accomplished pilot with a love of fine cigars, Sully supports Nate every step of the way, usually keeping pace with Drake's acrobatics. That's pretty impressive considering he's so old he cries whenever he sees a fossil because he remembers what it was like when it was alive. Of course, you're expecting us to scream prequel here, but we've done that for almost every other entry on this list. Instead, why not have him romancing old ladies in a retirement home for arthritic adventurers? Better yet, throw in a wheelchair section built on the Crash Team racing engine. Or maybe a prequel's a good idea.
Easily remedied. Victor Sullivan.
Ah! Oh, God. You look good. Looking good, actually. Are you okay? Are you... Well, don't answer that. I'm absolutely sure you're fine. There's plenty.
It's hard to steal focus from a character as compelling as GLaDOS, but in Portal 2, Wheatley pulled it off with endearing and expertly British incompetence. He's a dangerously moronic program created by Aperture Science in the hopes of dumbing down GLaDOS. Wheatley accompanies Portal players, usually making things worse through bumbling idiocy. But even when he tries to kill you, it's hard not to love this foolish orb. If Wheatley got his own game, we'd pick up right where we left him, floating around on the moon. After learning the error of his ways, Wheatley teams up with his fellow floating spheres and tries to find a way home, propelling himself through a series of clever, zero-gravity puzzles. Perfect.
I'll wait 1 hour, then I'll come back, and assuming I can locate your dead body, I'll bury you.
And that's your lot. If there's anyone else we've missed, please let us know in the comments. Also, please give us a like if you don't want HK47 to come around to your house and rearrange your sock drawer. And by sock drawer, I mean skin. Bye!
That was a pretty sweet video, right? If you want to see more, go to GamesRadar's YouTube page over here. Or if you want to read, maybe up your game a little bit, go to GamesRadar.com.